told to be charged. The incident comes just days after Nakada launched a campaign against illicit brew and drugs in the area. Elsewhere, Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government Joseph Olelenku says the Kenyans who are still in Nigeria following the deportation of controversial businessman Anthony Chinedu have been released and are expected to jet back in the country anytime today or even tomorrow. Olelenku was speaking while flagging off a total of 22 vehicles to be used by various county commissioners across the county in the war against substance abuse. He challenged all county commissioners to put mechanisms in place to fight the menace. The vehicles will also be used to coordinate development in the county level.
Is in an effort to continue delivering our mandate of making sure that our country is free of drugs, our country is free of illicit brews, and therefore we will continue to empower our officers at the Restructured Provision Administration, the police, and all government people working toward this cause.
The government is set to roll out the next phase of the polio vaccination campaign that will target 22 counties next month. Now, this will be the third round of the vaccination, and it targets to vaccinate at least 4.3 million children below the age of 5. This comes in the wake of a polio outbreak in the Dadaab refugee camp, where so far 6 people have been infected by the disease. Public Health and Sanitation Director Sharif Shahnaz also says they have introduced a second dose of the measles vaccine into the national immunization schedule, where the target age is children who are 18 months to 1.5 years. Now, the nationwide initiative will kick off on the 1st of July.
The reason we are giving this is because there are 2 reasons we are getting the outbreaks. Our immunization rate is quite high. It is 86%. But there is this population which is not immunized, which is roughly around 15%, which may not be immunized. Now, that pool of 15% increases. So if it's maybe the pool is 100,000 children are not immunized this year, there is another 100,000 not immunized the following year. Then it forms a reservoir for infection, right? So we get an outbreak because these children have not been immunized.
As the National Teachers' Strike enters day 3, NAT Meru Central Branch also took to the streets in solidarity with their colleagues elsewhere around the country. Led by their chairman Kirema Ruto and the executive secretary Caxton Miungu, they vowed not to return to work until the government meets their demands. They're now calling on the Cabinet Secretary and the TSC to stop issuing threats, adding that no amount of intimidation will stop them from fighting for their rights. We now take a short commercial break. When we come back, we tell you about the iCow. That's right, the iCow. Stay tuned. Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. Lake Victoria is now primed to breathe again after years of suffocation owing to the hyacinth weeds infestation of its waters. A private firm this week launched a harvester that will rid the water mass of the menace at the rate of 1 hectare per day, while using the waste to generate 120 megawatts of electricity annually. Fred Omulo has the details of the most promising effort yet made to rehabilitate the lake in years.
This floating tractor, as residents have chosen to name it, is set to rejuvenate the lake-based transport and fishing sectors while revolutionizing energy production in the region.
Removing Hyson is one part. What does people do with Hyson as a second part? Power conversion is the main part which is going to be taken up. We're doing 120 megawatt power in a day, 24 hours, 24 hourly basis. We picked up a beautiful location, a 40-acre land, totally separate from Peninsula, in which we'll house all this new technology through.
Vadera, who heads the Kenya Organic Research Center for Excellence, has acquired a 40-acre piece of land at Rare Beach in Kisumu County for the first phase of the project that involves construction of a green power plant powered through waste hyacinth that produces methane. The byproduct will then be used in fertilizer production.
But I think the macro level, what is required is basically producing the organic fertilizer as a byproduct. 250 metric tons of organic fertilizer will produce on daily basis. So you see, the advantage is whatever we've taken from the Mother Earth is returned back to Mother Earth.
Vadera is, however, quick to dispel fears that their plant will want to sustain hyacinth since it's their main raw material.
Our project is not totally dependent on hyacinth movement. Is also we can use any degradable waste. The green waste, let's say farm waste, sugarcane waste, all those waste which are right now in ample outside the municipal corporation area.
KOS's long-term plan is to extend operations to Lake Naivasha and Nairobi Dam, where the hyacinth has also taken up residence. From Kisumu City, I am Fred Omulo.
All right, from Fred Omulo, let's move to matters politics, and this time in Makueni. And what we do know is that the former legislator, Professor Philip Kaloki, has been cleared to run for the Makueni Senate by-election that will be conducted on July 22nd. Kaloki presented his papers this morning to the returning officer, Gurusho Salad Boru, to vote in Makueni County, and was handed the nomination papers. He will be seeking to be the senator of Makueni on a NARC ticket under the Jubilee Alliance. He'll be facing off with, among others, the immediate former senator's daughter, Kethi Kilonzo, and former member of parliament, John Harun Mwao. Our senior reporter, Aaron Ocheng, is currently in Makueni following those proceedings and now joins us by way of phone. Aaron, good afternoon. Aaron Ocheng, good afternoon. Aaron, are you able to hear me? All right, it appears that we can't get access to Aaron, but we will get back to him as soon as we can. But what we do know, however, is that Professor Philip Kaloki, who is vying under the Jubilee seat, has presented his papers, and he'll be running against, he'll be facing off with, among others, Kethi Kilonzo and former member of parliament John Harun Mwao for the Senate seat in Makueni. To business now, and we're talking about the iCow. It's not a cow, it's an application. And Safaricom has, in partnership with Green Dreams Limited, officially launched iCow, an SMS-based mobile app aimed at promoting smart dairy farming. It is estimated that Kenya has close to 5 million dairy farmers and can now access tips on better farming methods, which will help them improve their dairy output and subsequently their revenues for 3 shillings per message on the iCow service. The application has 3 main features. These are Calendar, Mshauri and Vet. Calendar offers farmers nutritional and vaccination tips for their cows during the gestational period up to and birth. Mshauri, on the other hand, is a service that sends farmers 3 SMS tips every week on dairy farming, while the Vet and artificial insemination service links farmers with professional vets within their respective geographical areas on demand. Speaking during the launch, the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, Felix Koskei, commended Safaricom for the innovative approach towards addressing farmers' concerns. Kenya Railways Corporation is set to start the construction of a modern metropolitan commuter railway network within Mombasa City. This is expected to address the traffic congestion caused by growing population in the coastal city. Now, according to outgoing Kenya Railways Managing Director Nduva Muli, the proposed project will be located in Mombasa City and its adjoining counties, which include Kwale and Kilifi, and a link to the proposed Lamu port. The rail corridor will have 6 lines, which will include Mombasa Airport, Likoni Ramisi Corridor, the Mombasa Mtwapa Kilifi Malindi Corridor, Mombasa Mazera's Voi Corridor, Likoni Ferry Panga Corridor, also known as the Mombasa Ring Corridor, the Mazera's Kaloleni Takaungu Corridor, and finally the Malindi Lamu Corridor. The port of Mombasa has been in the spotlight for inefficiency due to traffic and congestion. To address this problem, there is need to ensure that there is a seamless transport, or rather there is seamless transport in both rail and road. The state corporation says it will be going forward to develop a sustainable funding model to raise at least 60 billion shillings every year towards railway development. I understand we now have Aaron Ocheng on the line, our senior reporter, joining us from Makueni, where former legislator Philip Kaloki has been cleared to run for the Makueni Senate seat. He'll be going against, among others, immediate former senators Dr. Kethi Kilonzo and former member of parliament John Haron Mwao. Aaron Ocheng, are you able to hear me now? Aaron Ocheng? All right, there's a bit of feedback, but still not able to get him clearly. So let's have a look at sports. And Paulinho-headed Confederations Cup hosts Brazil to Sunday's final in their match against Uruguay last night. Fred had shot the Samba boys in the lead 3 minutes to the end of the first half, but the scores were level with 5 minutes remaining thanks to Edinson Cavani. Paulinho headed the winner late in the match to put the Samba boys in their successive final.